In today's video we're going to be doing a test and review of Thrustmaster's T-Flight rudder pedals, and it's one of the few peripherals offering Xbox and PC compatibility, and we'll be trying it out in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm on the Xbox today. I've got my controller, my Thrustmaster HOTAS 1, wireless keyboard and mouse, and of course the rudder pedals. A warm welcome to the SimHanger. My name's Mark, thanks for watching and let's get started. I purchased the T-Flight rudder pedals direct from Amazon and I paid £84.99. The general market price seems to be £89.99 at the moment, which is going to be around €98, which would make the price a little over 100 US. I stand to be corrected, but I think that makes them just about the least expensive rudder pedals in the market at the moment. To me, rudder pedals are an essential part of the realism and immersion within flight simulation. They can operate as a standalone peripheral on a PC, but if you're getting them for the Xbox, you do need the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS 1, as they don't connect directly to the Xbox. As well as selling them individually, Thrustmaster also sells it as a set. When you receive the rudder pedals, Thrustmaster provide a link where you can download drivers as well as a more advanced calibration tool, although you don't really need that as it's already pre-set up in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you're on the PC, it will show as a standalone device, and if you're on the Xbox, it will form part of your T-Flight HOTAS 1 profile. I'll spare you the rigors of unboxing, but on the box it does show the wide compatibility that these rudder pedals have with other Thrustmaster peripherals. But now let's have a look at the rudder pedals themselves. They're made almost completely out of rigid, durable plastic, with each pedal sliding or moving along two aluminium rails. This provides you with the left and right rudder function. The rudder pedals do have differential brakes, which is activated by pressing down on the top of the rudder pedals themselves. There's quite a bit of resistance on pressing the brakes forward, and it feels about right to me. But in terms of the sliding action, I did expect considerably more resistance, and there's nowhere where you can adjust it. It's spring operated and it's housed just here. You can see the chrome sliders again. It's not very heavy, but its grip on a carpet, well, it's excellent. It's one of the best I've experienced. Just doesn't slip around like my Logitech ProFlight ones do. The foot pedals or footrests are of a good size and includes heel rests, which can be removed if you prefer. They simply unscrew. I note on various forums there are mods where people replace the spring with one that is stronger, but that's not what this review's all about. Here's a size comparison comparing them with the Logitech ProFlight rudder pedals. You can see how much closer the pedals are on the Thrustmaster unit, and that took a little bit of getting used to. But if you're flying something like a small GA aircraft, well, the Thrustmasters are probably closer to reality in terms of positioning than the Logitech ones. As a comparison, the Logitech rudder pedals will be around £130–140. Considering what I paid for the Thrustmaster product, overall I'm happy, with one exception, and that's the resistance on the rudder action itself. And with the absence of any tensioning mechanism, well, it lets the product down. These rudder pedals were first introduced in 2016, I think, and I'm a bit surprised that Thrustmaster haven't looked at this. Yes, they've got another rudder pedal option, but that's the pendulum rudder, and that's very expensive. The rudder pedals come with an RJ12 connector. But in the package is also an adapter from the RJ12 to a USB for direct PC connectivity. The RJ12 just simply plugs into the back of the adapter and you're ready to go. You've now got USB compatibility. And as mentioned before, it can be used with and without the HOTAS 1 on the PC. If you're using it with the T-Flight HOTAS 1, well, connection couldn't be simpler as it has an RJ12 connector. On the back of the joystick, you simply plug it in and you're ready to go. And in this configuration, well, it's Xbox compatible. You've got everything you need to get your F-15 up into the air. Because the resistance on the rudder function is so slight, I've had to adjust sensitivities. Leaving at default, I was sliding all over the place. This is my rudder axis here. And as you can see, I've turned the sensitivity down to -75%. The rudders still work fine, but it gives me slightly better control. I also found at times when resting my foot on the pedal rests, I was moving the rudders slightly unintentionally, so I've also given it a dead zone of 5%. Perhaps I'm heavily footed, but it's what worked for me. We're in sim and let's give the rudders a test. Excuse the socks, but if I wear my shoes, well, my clodhoppers obliterate the view. If I push the right foot forward, the rudder goes to the right, and when I push the left foot forward, the rudder goes to the left. And that's correct. In simple terms, when the aircraft is travelling through the air and the rudder is not being used, assuming no interference from other control surfaces, then the airflow and the lift characteristics of the aircraft is equal on both sides. However, in this instance, we've deployed the rudder to the right. This induces more drag on the right-hand side of the aircraft and increases the lift on the left-hand side, and the result of this is the aircraft will yaw to the right. The nose will turn to the right. In many aircraft, the nose wheel and the rudder are connected, they're linked, and utilizing the rudder will allow you to steer the aircraft on the ground. Let's now test the independent brakes on the left and right hand side. That seems okay to the left. Now gain a bit of speed and apply the right, and the aircraft is turning to the right. Even though I'm not using the rudder, I'm using my brakes to help steer. Now pushing my rudders left and right, and I'm able to steer the aircraft as well. Here I'm taking off on the runway. I'm fairly centrally aligned, but note that I have a fair amount of right rudder deployed. This is to counteract the left pull because of the torque of the engine. Before I adjusted my sensitivity settings, I found I was snaking down the runway. In effect, I was getting a large amount of rudder movement on the aircraft for a small amount of input on the rudder pedals directly. We're now in flight and we can demonstrate the yaw action of the rudders to the right, and the nose is turning to the right. And now we can feed in a bit of left rudder. Let's just get ourselves straight first of all, left, and it's yawing to the left. The pedals are still quite sensitive. Despite me having turned, the sensitivity's right down. So overall, what are my thoughts and views? Well, let's start with the positives. I stand to be corrected, but I think they're just about the least expensive set of rudder pedals available in the market at the moment. For what you're paying, I think the quality of the construction is value for money. The pedal sizes are fine and fairly generous, and although closer together than what I'm used to, they're probably more representative of what you'd find in a real aircraft. The set of rudder pedals is comparatively light, but I was very impressed by the amount of grip and traction that it created. It didn't slip and slide on the carpet. It's better than most. A huge plus for these rudder pedals is they are both PC and Xbox compatible. And for Xbox users out there, well, there's little other choice available. The downside for Xbox users is that you do need another peripheral to attach them to. There's no direct connection to the Xbox. I believe Turtle Beach are working on a set of rudder pedals and they're likely to be directly attachable, so that's some optimism for the future. There's also, of course, the Honeycomb Charlie rudder pedals coming. But once again, you're going to have to be able to connect via the Alpha yoke. And that'll be a more expensive but perhaps better quality option. If you're aware of other options coming up that I haven't mentioned, then please put them in the comments below. I'd love to know. The big negative for me is on the rudder pedal action itself. There's just not enough resistance. And there's no tension control, so you can't change it without modding the product. And after all, this is the major function of this peripheral. I'll continue to use them on my Xbox as I have little alternative. But I'll continue to use my Logitech ProFlight rudder pedals for my PC. The Thrustmaster T-Flight rudder pedals are entry level, I acknowledge that. And if you occasionally pop in and out of the sim, well, they're probably good enough. But if you're a more serious simmer or spend more time in sim, well, there's better products out there if you're on PC. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found this useful and informative. Take care, look after yourselves. See you again soon, and bye for now.